How often do you rush through your day on autopilot? What if you could transform the most mundane events into moments of mindfulness and clarity? The Buddhist practice of mindfulness is not simply meant to be used in formal meditation, but is meant to infuse all of our lives. It's intended to be a holistic practice that can bring well-being and true peace to the way we view the world. In this video, I'm going to briefly discuss what mindfulness is, and then present us with some practical tips on how to bring it into these mundane aspects of our lives, like eating or walking or working or communicating with others. So first, what is mindfulness? Well, in early Buddhism, mindfulness is discussed in a sutta called the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, where the Buddha discusses how we can do various practices of awareness of various aspects of our lives. Awareness of the body, awareness of pleasant and painful feelings, awareness of the tone, attitude of the mind, and awareness of various other kinds of phenomena that are important to our experience of the world. Mindfulness is not about escaping from life's challenges, and certainly not about suppressing or denying emotions. Instead, it's about being present with whatever arises in our experience, whether it's pleasant or not pleasant. And indeed, in that very sutta, the Buddha talks about how this is a practice that we should bring to all aspects of our lives. It's the sort of thing that we should undertake when going out and coming back, when looking ahead and aside, when bending and extending the limbs, when bearing the outer robe, bowl, and robes, when eating, drinking, chewing, and tasting, when urinating and defecating, when walking, standing, sitting, sleeping, waking, speaking, and keeping silent. In other words, what the Buddha is saying here is that ideally we should be living our entire lives with this kind of mindful attitude. It's not simply for seated formal meditation, but the sort of thing that should be brought even into the most mundane and routine of events. Second, I want to spend some time giving some practical tips on doing mindfulness, a mindful approach to various tasks that we'll find in everyday life, such as eating, such as walking, such as working, or communicating with others. So to begin with, mindfulness of eating. Ordinarily, when we sit down to eat, we do so relatively mindlessly. There's something else going on. Perhaps we're watching television or talking to somebody, and we pay relatively little attention to what we're eating and drinking. Well, a mindful approach to eating is to tell us rather to slow things down, to be aware of each bite or each sip as we take it, to savor the food or the drink, to be aware of the flavor that that food or drink has, to spend time with it. Now, there are various benefits that this kind of attitude can have. First, it can improve our enjoyment of what we are actually eating and drinking. Second, it can help us to avoid overeating or mindless eating, because we're spending time. We're not simply shoveling stuff into our mouth. And third, it can help cultivate gratitude for the food that we're taking, because we're spending time actually with the food or with the drink, rather than, again, eating and drinking mindlessly. So one task that you might undertake is at your next meal to slow things down, at least for a time, and spend some time savoring what it is that you're actually ingesting. Second, when it comes to walking, we can walk mindfully. Walking, of course, is a wonderful way to gain exercise, but instead of doing it mindlessly, with our mind on other things, or often what we're doing tomorrow or what we did yesterday, we can attend to the activity of walking itself. Instead, therefore, of perhaps focusing on the breath the way we might in formal meditation, we can focus on the regular activity of our legs as they move. We can attend to the feeling of the feet as they touch the ground and leave the ground. We can attend to that regular cadence. And, one way we can practice this is to is to walk in tune with our breathing. We don't have to, but this is one way that we can do it. Breathe in on one step and breathe out on the next. Some of the benefits of this kind of practice is that it can increase our calm, it can help us calm down, it can increase our focus, it can reduce stress because we're not attending to a million things, the things that we're doing tomorrow or did yesterday, but simply attending to what's here right now, which is going to probably reduce stress for us and make the experience of walking more enjoyable. So the task ahead of you now is to spend at least a little time, next time you're out walking somewhere, simply slowing down the mind and attending to the process of walking itself, rather than getting lost in other thoughts, worries, and concerns. We can even do this while jogging or running. We don't have to be walking. It's any kind of cadence like this where we're outside, running around, moving. We can attend simply to the actual process of moving itself rather than getting lost in thoughts. Third, when it comes to working, we can focus on trying to reduce our distractions, focusing on one task at a time. Whether it's some project we're working on, whether it's an email we're writing, whether it's a meeting that we're in, try to reduce distractions and attend to the way that the work that we're doing makes us feel, which can be a great window into whether our work is truly satisfying or perhaps whether there's something that we may need to consider changing in the future. Now, some of the benefits of this kind of attitude is that it can help us overcome a feeling of being overwhelmed by work by reducing the distractions and focusing on one task at a time. It can increase our focus and our attention, and therefore can help to increase the satisfaction we gain out of doing the work that we have to do. And in the case that our work is unsatisfying, it can make that dissatisfaction more clear to us over time as we become directly aware with the way that our mind is interacting with the work that we do daily. So the task ahead of us, therefore, is to perhaps spend a few moments before we work each day setting up an attitude where we will try to eliminate distractions insofar as we can, try to focus on the task ahead of us, and try to be mindful about the way that we interact with that work and how it makes us feel. And try to become aware when we become distracted or the mind becomes scattered, and make an intention to refocus on the task at hand. Fourth, when it comes to communication, mindful communication is a wonderful place of practice. Whether we're talking to somebody or emailing them or however we're communicating with them, bringing an attitude of mindfulness makes a huge difference. Again, we practice to reduce distractions. We practice to listen openly to what the other person is saying without engaging in mental deliberations during the time that they're talking. We reserve our response for the time when they're finished. Rather than interrupting, we sit back and wait for them to finish and then respond in a way that's mindful rather than one that is simply automatic, without thinking, mindless response. The benefits of this kind of approach is that it leads to better interactions with others and minimizes conflict. By allowing for space for kinder and more compassionate interactions to take place. So the task ahead of you is, in your next interaction perhaps, when the other person is talking, simply to listen without interrupting, without engaging in a thought process of what you're going to say afterwards until they've finished. And then when they finish speaking, to begin to speak from a place of silence rather than from a place of conflicting and continuing thoughts that were going on during the time that they were trying to speak. This allows you to really hear what they're saying and again respond in a way that's wiser and more directed. Third, what are some of the benefits of living mindfully? Well, I think a mindful approach to life, to all of its aspects, allows us to live with more freedom and a greater sense of true intention. It gives us insight into those parts of life that are truly beneficial and healthy for us, and those that are not. And this awareness of the way that life interacts with us and the way that we interact with life is a necessary first step in order to know how to proceed in the best, wisest manner to make a life that's better for ourselves, and for others for that matter. It allows for greater calm by reducing our tendency towards mental cluttering and reducing distractions, that we become aware when distractions arise. We make a sincere effort to try to focus on tasks at hand. It also helps to improve our relations with other people by promoting a more open and aware style of listening and then responding. In so doing, it can also enable us to distinguish between those people in our lives who are beneficial to us and those who may be harmful. And this kind of wise awareness can again help us to know the correct way forward. And it makes our lives in general more intentional by moving us away from actions that are more sort of on autopilot, unconsidered, unmindful, towards actions that are considered, that are intentional, that are directed towards ends that we begin to see as being beneficial to us and non-harmful. Fourth, I want to talk about some practical tips with help from the great Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, who suggests, we might say, that we start by small. We start small by washing the dishes. He says, "I enjoy taking my time with each dish, being fully aware of the dish, the water, and each movement of my hands. I know that if I hurry in order to be able to finish, so I can sit down sooner and eat dessert or enjoy a cup of tea, the time of washing dishes will be unpleasant and not worth living. If I'm incapable of washing dishes joyfully, if I want to finish them quickly so I can go and have dessert or a cup of tea, I will be equally incapable of enjoying my dessert or my tea when I finally have them." And this is a wonderful place to start. Now, of course, we don't have to necessarily start directly with washing dishes. We could start with any one of a million other mundane tasks of ordinary life, like brushing our teeth or getting dressed in the morning. Now, all of these have goals associated with them, but if we pursue those tasks simply to attain the goal, we're missing out on something that's really critical. As Thich Nhat Hanh says, washing the dishes is at the same time a means and an end. We do the dishes not only in order to have clean dishes, we also do the dishes just to do the dishes, to live fully in each moment while washing them and to be truly in touch with life. Thich Nhat Hanh here is describing a true attitude of mindfulness. Yes, each of these tasks has an end to it. Each of them is intended to produce something. We want clean dishes, we want clean teeth, we want to be dressed in the morning. But if we look at it solely in terms of its ends, we miss something critical. We miss the importance of the action itself. We miss that encounter with that present moment, which is all we really have. That moment may be pleasant to us, it may be unpleasant to us, but it's all we have right now. So if we can engage with it mindfully and engage with curiosity, we're going to be gaining something every moment of our lives. So consider taking pauses during your day, just taking a breath and refocusing your mind, your attitude on what's right in front of you right now. Give your mind time to reset. Give your mind time to refocus. So, in summary, living a mindful life does not mean adding another task to our to-do list. Rather, it means bringing a certain kind of attention to the life that we're already leading. This attitude brings immediate benefits through increasing calm and focus in our minds and in our lives, and longer-term benefits by increasing the clarity we have around our goals and intentions. It also brings benefits to our relationships with other people by allowing them to breathe more freely. So try one or another of these suggestions I've made in this video and see how they work out for you, and let us know about it in the comments down below. I'd be really interested to hear, to see if this kind of practice of mindful attention can lead to a richer and more fulfilling life. And if you want to learn more, for example, about walking meditation, I did a couple of videos about that. I'll leave a link to one of them up here on the screen to give you an introduction to a more structured attitude of mindful walking. If you're getting something out of these videos of mine, consider taking a look at my Patreon page, which is linked up here on the screen or down below in the notes, and see if you want to help support the channel and the work that I'm doing here. Thanks so much to all of you, and we'll catch you on the next video. And meanwhile, all of you, be well.